Hi again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Around the Town with Chuck. My name is Chuck Guglielmo, a weekly interview show where we interview interesting people. And who we have with us today is a hometown boy coming back to Conneaut, Tim Neal. Tim, congratulations.
Well, thank you very much.
We're all excited about having you come to be the new principal here at Conneaut High School. When I first heard from the superintendent, we had the superintendent in here a few weeks ago, that he was going to be making some changes and then the principal's job was going to go up, I said, I know somebody that just might bid on it. And when it went up, did you do it right away or did you have to give it some thought?
I did not. I gave it a lot of thought. I have a wonderful staff at Edgewood, and I had a great opportunity there to be able to come in as a principal. And so I gave it a lot of thought. And I called around to a couple colleagues and got some advice there. Although at that point I had kind of made the decision in my mind. I guess I was just looking for affirmation. But probably about a week after the posting went by that I made the decision that it was going to be the right move, and I needed to at least put in my application and see where it went.
I know you said in the paper, you were quoted as saying it was kind of a bittersweet situation for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the bittersweet part, is that I've had 2 great years at Edgewood, and things have been going very well, and a great staff there. So it's tough to leave that behind. But it's certainly, the sweet part certainly is the ability to come back home, to be at the school where I went to school, and in the community that supported me as I grew up and became an adult, and the opportunities that I was able to have, to be a part of that and to give that back to the community.
Of course, you graduated here at Conneaut High School, I believe, 1996.
That's correct. Absolutely.
That was the year when we had the great basketball teams, I remember, with the Papes, the Lions, and the Coxsons.
Yes, it was.
I got to imagine that you were on that stage crew at the time, because I know you played football.
I played football. I did play basketball.
Oh, you did play? Okay.
I was the JV team to that team, so I got to see a lot of things firsthand. And it was an absolute amazing team for sure.
It was an amazing team. Football, you wore number 80.
That's correct. Correct.
Who was coaching back then?
Jeff Appleby.
Jeff Appleby, okay.
Absolutely.
And he spent some time in both Conneaut and Edgewood school districts as well, I believe.
Yes, I believe he has. I believe he coached at Edgewood for a little while, and certainly, and then he was my head coach, Coach Appleby in Conneaut.
Do you have any memories from that football team, the team you played for?
Sure.
I don't think it was a pretty good memory.
Well, I think one of the greatest memories I always carry with me is I remember it was early in the fall, and I won't name drop, but someone had come in from the school staff and told us that they had changed homecoming from Ashtabula High to St. John's. And because they felt it had given us a better opportunity. And lo and behold, we went in and we stole the Ashtabula home game away from Ashtabula, and we dropped the St. John game to St. John's.
How about that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like I said, you were a 96 graduate. Now, I also, from what I'm reading, when you went to your interview, you dressed in blue and gold. Probably got the tie right there.
Yeah, I did. I did wear this tie, a little bit darker shirt, more closer to the Conneaut blue. I did. Absolutely.
And how was the interview process for you?
You know, I thought the interview process was very nice. What was really nice about the process is that Mr. Notar had included some students into the interview process.
I was going to ask you about that, because he said that was going to be part of the process.
And he had the 4 junior class officers who are going to be seniors were part of the process, and that made it really nice, being a principal candidate, to be able to see their perspective and to see the things that they thought were good and the things that they were hoping someone might have an impact on and change, and just being able to have that student perspective was really a great part of the process.
Yeah, I thought that was a great idea of tar to do that.
Absolutely.
Have a couple of
Absolutely.
the students do that. Now you were a Marine veteran, a veteran of the Marines.
Marine veteran.
So you're a tough guy. So tell us a little bit about that period.
Okay. Well, I'll go back a little bit. I grew up. I was a low socioeconomic student. Single mother. We lived with my grandmother. So when it came time for graduation, I knew that I needed to find something my own way. And so for me, that decision was the Marine Corps. And so I knew I had to leave to come back, if that makes sense. and so that's what I did. And great experience. It certainly had a huge impact on my life. Still does. Something you carry with you always.
But something you would do over if you had
Something I would do over in a minute if I had to do it again. I never left the country with the Marines, but I did get to do a lot of traveling coast to coast, and been a part of some great things and some great initiatives inside the Marine Corps. We did an opportunity where we did an operation where 4 or 5 countries, I believe, took part in, where we trained together down at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina, and that was a neat operation, being able to see Marines from other countries.
Mm-hmm. So when you came back then from the Marines, you did what? What was the first thing you did?
Well, the first thing I did when I came back from the Marines is I enrolled at Edinburgh. It wasn't my intent to stay back. I had come back. My intent was to go back to North Carolina and go to East Carolina University. My mother had become sick with cancer. I chose to stay, so right away I enrolled in Edinburgh. Schooling was important to me, and I wanted to continue with schooling. And then, unfortunately, it was the right decision. My mom passed away within a year, and so I continued with the schooling. Of course, at that time, young, 23, I figured I had it all figured out. I was going to be a psychology major and then go to law school and go into politics. And
all before you thought about education?
All before I thought about education.
How about
Absolutely. That? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I was a psychology major. I ended up switching it and becoming a minor when I made the decision to go into education. But,
not only did you go into education, but you went all the way to your doctorate degree.
I did. It was a drive inside that I needed to get as far as I could go. That I needed to continue to push myself until I got to a terminal degree.
How many additional years is it to go for a doctorate?
I went. Now, it's tough to put into terms, I guess, because at some point you only go like half-time because you're working, so you go 2 courses a semester, so on and so forth. But I started in the Marine Corps working on my associate's degree. As a matter of fact, I finished my associate's degree while I was in the Marine Corps. So I got out with my associate's degree. I went 3 years at Edinburgh after the change to education and going into education. Graduated there in 2003. In 2004 summer, I started my master's program. Graduated December 2005 with my master's, and then continued taking courses going into licensure for principal and licensure for superintendent. Then admitted into the doctoral program in the fall of 2008, and I believe it was the fall of 2010 that I finished coursework. So all that time going half-time, but continuously,
sure,
probably 6 years.
Wow, good for you. You mentioned superintendent. Is that in your dream down the road someday, somewhere?
It is. It is my dream. It's in my professional goals that at some point I want to be a superintendent of schools. Absolutely.
Right. Then I didn't know this, but you were an athletic director in the Ashtabula school system, Lakeside?
I was, absolutely. My education career began with the opportunity to teach at Northwestern. And with that, I was able to be the assistant and later co-athletic director at Northwestern. Smaller school, it was kind of like a supplemental, something that you took on as well as teaching. And then after a couple years at Northwestern, here was the first real why or decision, fork in the road, if you will. I love football. I just love football. And I had the opportunity, I was offered the position to coach linebackers at Gannon University at the same time that Mr. Donatone called from Ashtabula City and offered me the job as the athletic administrator. So I took that road. It was into administration, which was where I wanted to ultimately head. And I thought it was just icing on the cake that it was administration and dealing with sports. Mm-hmm. So I became the athletic administrator for Lakeside for 2 years.
2 years, I see. When you first were looking for your first school job, did you apply in the Conneaut area?
I did. I applied in the Conneaut area. I applied, pretty much in most driving areas that I could. I had applied in the Cambridge area over in Pennsylvania, and Northwestern had a position that opened up. The person that I student taught for actually became an assistant principal. So having that connection and having student taught at the school, that it was a nice transition into teaching. Mm-hmm. So.
My guest today is Tim Neal, the new principal at Conneaut High School. Tim, after your 2 years as athletic director, then you became the assistant principal at Lakeside High School. Is that correct?
That's correct. Van McReef, who happened to be our head football coach as well, so we had worked together. I as the AD, he was the head football coach. He was the assistant principal. He took a job in Pima Valley at the time. It opened up the assistant principal position. Sylvia Atkinson was the principal at the time.
Know her well.
And we worked together very, very well and had some discussions. I expressed to her my interest in moving into the assistant principal role. She was absolutely all for it. And so I made that move.
Another hometown girl, by the way.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And made that move to be her assistant
at the high school level. And you did that for 7 years?
I did that for 5 years, 7 years total at Lakeside.
I see.
So I did that for 5 years, the assistant principal.
And then you went to Edgewood, and after that for 2 years.
Right after that, yep. I served, had the opportunity to serve as the Edgewood principal, and I've been there for the past 2 years.
And what can you tell us about being principal at Edgewood High School? How was that for you after being an assistant principal at Lakeside? What was it like moving up to being a principal?
Being the principal of a building.
Or did you try at Lakeside, or was there no openings?
There was no openings. Don Rapuse was the successor to Sylvia Atkinson. Great man. We worked together well for the 2 years we worked together. And then Edgewood opened up and decided to throw my hat in the ring. And Dr. Derringer, we interviewed together, and I was blessed with that opportunity to work for him and come over to Edgewood. And it was great. It was a move I was ready for. Wanted to be a building principal. Wanted to get more involved in the overall aspects of the school and in the curriculum and in the scheduling and really becoming in that piece of being involved and out and about with the kids. And it's been a great 2 years. It really has.
What's it like to be with the kids, high school kids? The kids are different today, aren't they?
Sure, and I'd like to think that every generation thinks that the generation after them is a little different, but I enjoy being with the kids. First and foremost, that's why I'm there. I'm principal of a building that is all about the education of kids, and so but it's always nice to be out and about. I think it's great for them to see you and just be interacting with them. That's a big key for students, and I think it's a big part of school culture.
Of course, your school,
positive.
Your school, Edgewood, of course, one of the few schools in the county that did well on the state report cards.
Yes.
So that's a credit. You have to consider yourself some credit there. I know that's one of the goals that we're
that we're looking at.
We're looking at here in Conneaut,
Sure.
with the administrators moving around to their specialty areas.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about what it was like when you were a principal at Edgewood High School when it came to having to do some discipline.
I guess that's the assistant principal in you never goes away. So, I mean, although you don't have it as a full role, it's still there. I wouldn't say discipline is in my nature, but certainly it's an important part of the educational process. So obviously there are times when I have to be involved in discipline and have those hard conversations. And my goal is that it's a learning experience as much as it can be, steering students in the right direction and helping them to progress and grow into good functioning people.
Who was your assistant at Edgewood?
Jerry Malak.
Jerry Malak.
Jerry Malak. And Steve Cray serves as AD and a part-time assistant principal for me.
Oh, okay.
So he kind of plays a dual role.
All right. Okay, did not know that. I knew he was the AD, but I didn't know he was part-time.
Yes, yeah. Does a part-time with Jerry. Jerry's there 3/5. Works 3 days out of 5 with us, and Steve picks up the other 2 days as the assistant principal.
Has your position been filled?
My position has been filled. When is this going to air? Wednesday. Fair enough. My position has been filled, and it's on the board agenda for Tuesday night. Mark Potts from Lakeside Junior High School is going to be taking the principal role at Edgewood High School. He's coming over with Pat Colucci.
Good. What experiences do you feel you gained being principal at Edgewood that you can bring over here to Conneaut?
I think the ability to be a principal. The experience of going through the scheduling and the ability to work on the terms of the holistic part of the building, and not just as an assistant principal. Focus is usually very narrow, and it's interacting with kids and then interacting with discipline. Whereas a principal, it becomes more holistic and it becomes building wide. I think some experiences as a principal, the ability to really try to work at making community connections. One of my big goals at Edgewood was improving building culture, trying to build and establish a positive building culture, both with staff and with students. But also a key piece to that is a community relation. And so we established things like the community tailgate party at the football game. It was our opening football game. So the idea that we would put together something for the community, a tailgate. Matter of fact, this past year we got a dunk tank that I graced myself in, and just something to really reach out to the community and make that connection.
Now, when do you officially end your ties with Buckeye and become a Spartan?
All right, my official ties happen at the end of June. I work all the way up through, I believe it's June 23rd, and I'll be working diligently to try to ensure that the master schedule and student schedules are all completed, and that everything's in good place in order for the next principal to come in. And then August, I will officially be in the office as a Spartan. I'll certainly be in over the summer, I'm sure.
Now, do you have to train, or not train, but show your new guy taking your position around at all?
It's not a must or a have to. I hope we get the opportunity to. I think it's a great thing when positions are filled in time that there can be a little bit of a transition period. Because that's really what's best for the kids and best for the building, is if there can be some overlap where one torch is passed from one person to the next.
Is that what you would expect when you come to Conneaut?
Absolutely. I certainly hope so. Don and I have a great relationship. We're great colleagues. Great lady.
The only female principal Conneaut has ever had.
Well,
Conneaut
that's
High
an
School,
interesting
that is.
fact. I didn't know
Conneaut
that.
High School, yes.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so she made history.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Did you bring when you were at Edgewood for 2 years, did you bring anything to the school did you make any changes Did you implement anything that you wanted to do differently?
Boy, there were probably several things. Like I said, a lot of which happened to be building culture related, happened to be oriented in terms of establishing community connection, like the community tailgate. There were some curriculum things. I worked to help establish a STEM program, get it up and running, and that's really an interesting class for students. Really project-based learning and the ability to use 3D printing and laser printing and designing projects from start to finish. So that was an interesting thing to be a part of and get going at Edgewood. And then other things that I would have brought, I think for the most part, like I said, would have been just establishing that positiveness, getting students involved, assemblies, pep rallies, things that students really want to kind of group around and become involved. So that was my big goal from the beginning. Certainly, there are things that I had thought about, things that we're in the process of implementing. We're in the process right now of implementing one-to-one technology, getting Chromebooks in the hands of, it's going to start with the freshman class next year, but getting Chromebooks in the hands of every freshman student. So that's a great thing to be a process, or have been a part of the process. We certainly just got that off the ground and running. I'll be handing that off. But that was a big thing, I think, brought to the district as well.
Now, coming over here to Conneaut, of course, we already briefly discussed one of your biggest challenges is going to try to get the report card up. What other challenges are you looking forward to here in Conneaut? Or do you see as challenges?
Okay. One big, huge piece that I think is establishing that community connection. Some perception, and certainly this was a nice piece of having those students in on the interview and being able to ask them, and is just trying to continue to move forward with building. And there's a great base started, so I don't want it to sound negative, but continuing to build on getting the community connected with the school and getting the students involved and excited to be there. And I'm a firm believer that that's the base, and then you can build academics on that. When students are excited, when students want to be in school, when students are a part of things, then that puts them in a whole different mindset when they walk through the doors of the building.
How would you deal with a teacher-student conflict?
Well, the first part is working kind of as a mediator, and meeting with the teacher, meeting with the student. Hopefully, what I try to do at Edgewood is meeting with both at the same time and try to determine what the conflict is, what was the cause of the conflict, and how do we resolve the conflict so that we can move forward.
How about a parent-teacher conflict?
Really along the same way. Oftentimes, the ability to just listen to the parent, oftentimes giving the opportunity for them to communicate. Many times, being a parent, and as parents, we just want to be heard. We want our concern to be heard. And so allowing that to happen, being able to be reachable, being able to be approachable, so that the communication can at least be initiated and started.
We'll close here in the last few minutes here. Let me throw some words and phrases at you and kind of describe how you feel about it.
Okay.
Energy. Are you an energy type guy?
Energy. I believe so. I believe I'm high energy. I'm very approachable. I'm very involved. Love being out and about with the students. And so I think that's an energy that I feed off of students, and students feed off of me.
And I believe every bit of it because I know an Edgewood family I've been talking to. They're really going to miss you.
Oh,
It's our
well, I
game.
appreciate that.
It's our game.
Well, I appreciate that, absolutely.
Passion.
Passion. Okay. Passion's what I bring to the job every day. I'm in education because I believe in it. It is my passion. I believe that I'm where I am because of teachers, administrators who had a positive impact on me. And it's that passion that I want to give back and be that positive impact on someone else.
Very good. Charisma.
Charisma. I think these kind of go hand in hand with energy, but I think I'm pretty charismatic, for better or for worse. I talk with my hands a lot.
I thought only Italians did
I try
that.
to. That's why when I sit like this, I try to sit with my hands forward. So I believe I'm charismatic.
Obviously, this next one, I know the answer already, but I'd like to hear you describe personality.
Personality, absolutely. I think I'm very approachable. I think I bring a very positive personality, and I can enjoy. What's the word I want to use here? I don't want to say I'm humorous, but I think smiling and laughing and enjoyment it's what gets you through the day. It's what life's about. Mm-hmm. And so you will oftentimes, if you happen to come visit us at the school, I'm sure you'll hear me laugh, or I'm sure you'll hear me being happy-go-lucky as I'm talking with someone, or because I think that's a part of the positive energy.
It'll be nice seeing you up in the press box. I do the football games and the basketball
absolutely.
games over at Garcia
Absolutely.
Gymnasium. Let me finish with a bang.
Okay.
Every time I interview
Absolutely.
a school administrator, I always close with this question.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you sure?
I am absolutely ready.
Dress code. Are you in favor of a dress code in the
Dress
school system?
code. Wow, that is a bang. Yes, I am. For every community, that might mean it's something a little bit different. Certainly, I think every district has at least a base dress code. Things that are acceptable and things that aren't acceptable, and that's really certainly to be just supportive of the learning environment. It's to try to ensure that the distraction is and the concentration is not on someone's clothes, but rather on core curriculum subjects. I'll go one step further, and I'll say, I'm certainly I've seen a lot of districts do academic dress. And I think there's a lot of positive to that.
What's academic dress?
Academic dress is, it's not a uniform, but it's a more dressy, if you will, type of dress code.
Okay.
For instance, Painesville Harvey does academic dress.
Oh, really?
And it's not a uniform, but students don't wear jeans. They wear either khakis or dark colored khaki type pants, polos. So just more of a dressy.
I like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. Well, Tim, this has been fun, and of course, we'll get you back in here again probably January, see how your first semester
wonderful.
went.
Absolutely.
And we're excited about having you here in Conneaut, and I'm sure you'll do great work.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm extremely excited to be here, and certainly blessed to have the opportunity to come back home and be a Spartan once again.
And like I say, we're happy to have you. That's Tim Neal, my guest today, new principal at Conneaut High School. Next week, we'll have Wendy Tisch, who's also a new principal here in the Conneaut school system over at Lakeshore Primary. So we'll have her on the air next week as well. So this is Chuck Guglielmo saying have a good evening.